Imagine standing on the edge of the Promised Land, a place your people have dreamed of for generations. There's a catch: giant fortified cities, fierce warriors, and impossible odds. This is the world of Joshua, a leader called to conquer, not by might but by faith. From miraculous victories to the collapse of mighty walls, Joshua's story is one of courage, obedience, and a God who never fails. Stay with us as we dive into one of the most action-packed journeys in the Bible. Moses was God's chosen leader for Israel. Joshua was chosen by God to lead the Israelites after Moses' death. With courage and faith, he guided the people into the Promised Land. He knew he was being prepared for something great. Moses was gone. Now it was Joshua's turn to lead God's people. Talk about big shoes to fill. But God had a promise for Joshua. I will be with you, I will not leave you or forsake you. These words were powerful. They were the same words God spoke to Moses. God was letting Joshua know he wasn't alone. God would be with him, just like he was with Moses. Joshua must have felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He knew that if God was for him, nothing could stand against him. Leading God's people into the Promised Land was a huge task. There were enemies to fight and battles to win, but Joshua never wavered. He remembered God's promise: be strong and courageous. The Jordan River was the first obstacle. It was overflowing. Yet God commanded them to move forward in faith. He told Joshua to have the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant lead the way. As soon as the priests' feet touched the water, the river stopped flowing, and the waters stood up in a heap far upstream. The entire nation of Israel, over 1 million people, crossed the Jordan on dry ground, just as they had crossed the Red Sea under Moses. To commemorate this miraculous event, Joshua instructed one man from each tribe to take a stone from the riverbed and set them up as a memorial at Gilgal. These stones served as a lasting reminder of God's power and faithfulness, so future generations would remember how he led his people into the Promised Land. Then came the walls of Jericho. When Joshua sent 2 spies to scout Jericho, Rahab, a Canaanite woman with a reputation as a sinner, chose to hide them in her home. God told Joshua to have the people march around the city once a day for 6 days. On the 7th day, they marched around 7 times. Then the priests blew their trumpets, the people shouted, and the mighty walls of Jericho collapsed. The Israelites charged into the city and conquered it, fulfilling God's promise. True to their word, Rahab and her family were spared and welcomed into Israel. Her faith and courage not only saved her, but also earned her a place in the lineage of Jesus Christ. Matthew 1:5. Once the land was claimed, Joshua divided it among the 12 tribes of Israel, fulfilling God's promise to their ancestors. In his old age, Joshua called the people together. He reminded them of God's faithfulness and challenged them with these famous words: "Choose this day whom you will serve, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." The people promised to serve God, renewing their covenant. Will we trust him, obey him, and follow him wherever he leads? Let's be people of faith, just like Joshua. After his death, the Israelites struggled without a strong leader. They failed to drive out the remaining Canaanites and began to stay from God. This led to the period of the Judges, a time of chaos and cycles of disobedience and deliverance. Joshua's life is a powerful example of faith, leadership, and obedience to God. His story reminds us of the importance of trusting in God's promises and staying faithful to him.